With 11 Labs dubbing, you can use the magic of AI to translate a video in any language into 29 other languages, even simultaneously, all in a matter of minutes. But get this, the translated speech is spoken in the voice of the original narrator. In just a few minutes, I can take one of my own original English-speaking videos and have a Hindi-speaking version using my voice. For that matter, I could also have German, Chinese, Spanish, or any of the other 29 languages supported by 11 Labs, all simultaneously without having to wait. The quality of the output is so good straight out of the box that you don't normally even have to check it. 11 Labs dubbing allows you to bring your content to viewers around the world, massively boosting the size of your audience. Just with Hindi alone, I'm adding a population of 570 million to my possible reach. If you have a YouTube channel, you may already have access to the new multi-language audio feature, which allows you to upload audio dubs in as many languages as you want, just as MrBeast has already done, who says that the majority of his views now come from his non-English speaking audience. So this new YouTube feature, when combined with 11 Labs dubbing, is really dynamite, because you could be enjoying an audience size much greater than what you're accustomed to almost overnight. This has the potential to mark a real change, a before and after moment in the success of your channel. Now 11 Labs have brought us Dubbing Studio. As previously stated, the standard output straight out of the box is excellent. It's so good that it can usually be published as is, especially I find if the video is just one speaker. However, there may be times, like when with a longer video or with multiple speakers, when the timing, the transcription or the translation could be improved. And that's where Dubbing Studio comes in. 11 Labs Studio brings us a complete toolbox so we can perfect every aspect of our dub, such as the transcription, the timing, the translation, etc. So in this full step-by-step tutorial, I will show you how you can translate any video in just a few clicks, and how extremely quickly you can have your video translated into all 29 languages, and how you can become a multi-language content creator with a worldwide audience before you can say 11 Labs. Then I will show you how to leverage the power of Dubbing Studio to have full control over your dubbing process and get your videos just perfect for your international audience. I mean, single language creation? That's just prehistoric, baby. So 11 Labs brings us automatic dubbing and the Dubbing Studio. You can get access to automatic dubbing for free by signing up to the free forever plan. I've left a link for you in the description below so you can do that, and that will also allow you to follow along with the first part of this tutorial. However, just to let you know, the Dubbing Studio is available from the starter plan and upwards. However, there's currently a special offer of just $1 for the first month and then $5 after that. And there's no commitment period, so you can try it for $1 and come off it again if you so wish. So let's make single language creation a thing of the past. So first off, let's take a look at this example video that 11 Labs have on their YouTube channel. With the new YouTube multi-language audio feature enabled down here, if you click the cog, then you'll see there's an audio track option with 5 different languages to choose from: English, Spanish, German, Polish and Italian. So there you see the feature in action. Let's just play the English version.
Right, and then that's the foundation to be able to start to convince other people that you're right.
Yeah. By the way, I'm kind of worried that as a result of this episode, people are going to be like, well, Mark wants disagreeable people. So if I ever run into Mark in a conversation, I just need to be a total jerk, right? Like, he'll like me.
Just going to have a lot of people who are just really annoying and just disagree with you all the time.
I already kind of have that.
Then you block them.
Well, yeah, lots to unpack that. Okay, so I think we start talking about...
Right, so let's change the language to Spanish and play.
Correcto, y eso es la base para poder comenzar a convencer a otras personas de que tienes razón.
Por cierto, estoy un poco preocupado de que como resultado de este episodio la gente vaya a pensar, bueno, Mark quiere estar en desacuerdo con la gente, así que si alguna vez me encuentro con Mark en una conversación, solo necesito comportarme como un completo idiota, ¿verdad? A él le agradará.
Vas a tener muchas personas que son realmente molestas y que simplemente no estarán de acuerdo contigo todo el tiempo.
Sí.
Ya lo tengo más o menos.
Bueno, sí, sí, muchas en realidad. Ok, amigo, comenzamos a hablar sobre... Empezamos a...
As a fluent Spanish speaker myself, that sounds fantastic. It's a really, really good translation and has picked up multiple speakers and is using their original voices. Let's try another language. Let's try Polish.
Wiesz, że jak masz naprawdę przeciwny pogląd, nawet jeśli ludzie ci nie wierzą, wiesz, że masz rację. Dokładnie. I to jest podstawa, aby móc zacząć przekonywać innych ludzi.
Tak, nawiasem mówiąc, trochę się martwię, że w wyniku tego odcinka ludzie będą pewnie myśleć, że Mark chce nieprzyjemnych ludzi, więc jeśli kiedykolwiek spotkam się z Markiem w rozmowie, wystarczy, że będę totalnym dupkiem, prawda? Jak? To mu się spodoba. Dobrze.
Będziesz mieć po prostu dużo osób, które są naprawdę irytujące i ciągle się nie zgadzają z tobą.
Tak.
Już tak jakby to mam...
W nowej ramce bloga.
O, cóż, tak. O, mamy dużo tego do rozpakowania. Okej. Myślę, że powinniśmy zacząć rozmawiać o...
All right. So you can see the new YouTube multi-language function in operation, and combined with the fantastic translations and dubbing of 11 Labs, how effective that is. If you could just imagine your whole channel having the option to change the language and using the 11 Labs high quality dubbing, well, that's your doorway to the world. Right, now that we've seen an 11 Labs example provided by them, let's run through it ourselves. I'll show you how it all works and we'll see what results we get. So, this is the dubbing page. It's on the main menu within 11 Labs. Here at the top of the page, it gives a few examples of what dubbing might be useful for. But we have social media content, YouTube, TikTok, etc. Media and entertainment, so you can dub films and TV shows using the original characters' voices. Marketing material to reach a wider audience. And education and e-learning materials, same thing, to reach a wider audience. Right, so this process is actually very quick, especially if you're just doing the one language. So I'll just give you a brief overview. All you need to do here is put in a name, source language, target language, what you're translating to, choose your form of upload, then you can just click create. We have some advanced settings, but for now we're going to skip that and we'll come back to them very shortly. So let's give it a name. I'll leave the source language on detect and I'll tell it I want the output to be in Spanish. I have a YouTube video of mine, very short, so we can get through this quickly. And that's it, hit create. Okay, so it's currently underway. Okay, that's done. Let's have a look. Here we go, is the video. Usando 11 laboratorios, pude crear un clon de mi voz tan realista que incluso mi esposa no puede notar la diferencia. That's great. It makes me laugh how South American the accent is, but that's not an issue. Okay, that sounds great. It's my voice speaking Spanish. I noticed that it's translated 11 labs. So I'm saying 11 laboratorios instead of just 11 labs, which shouldn't be translated. So that's a perfect example of why you might want Dubbing Studio, okay? We'll get to that shortly. Right, that's the dub in the simplest format with one language and one speaker and no advanced options. Now let's take a look at the advanced options. Sticking with a single speaker example for the time being. So we're going to look at the process of dubbing about 10 minutes of video, because that could be a common case scenario. In my case, for example, I might want to be dubbing videos of 10 to 15 minutes in duration with just myself speaking. And so we can also use this as an example to see exactly how long 11 Labs takes to dub a 10-minute video, as well as how much character usage that would take, because character usage is an important thing to take into account, and that's something that we're going to be taking a look at now in the advanced settings. Okay, this time we'll tell it it's English. It's not really necessary. It seems to be able to pick that up fine. Target language. I think this time I'll choose Portuguese because I can more or less understand what they're saying anyway, to more or less assess the quality of the output. YouTube video again. Regarding the sources, there are various options. So first there's an upload option, so you can drag and drop or upload a video file. You can paste in a YouTube link, as we've done, a TikTok link, an X or Twitter link, a Vimeo link, some other URL, and then there's the manual option. So the manual option is actually quite complex because there are 4 different things you can upload: the complete audio or video file, but also a file with speaker start times, end times, transcription and translation, a foreground audio file, and a background audio file. That's with the music, sound effects, and ambient noise. So you would do that with time code, and I believe you can upload all 4 of these things, or 1 or 2 or 3 of them, however many you need. Right, now let's look at the advanced settings. So the first option on the list is if you want to create a dubbing studio project. So there are 2 things we're looking at in this tutorial. First of all, how the basic dubbing works. Secondly, how to use the dubbing studio to perfect your dubbing. So this first option gives you the choice of creating a project that can be opened in the dubbing studio. If you don't tick this box now, then later on you will not be able to open your dub in dubbing studio. So you must tick it now if you want to do that. So interestingly, we have these 2 warnings come up, which we'll get back to in a second. The next option down here is the watermark option. Okay, so as it says, if we use a watermark, we will reduce our character usage by 50%. So it's the perfect time to explain the character usage. Okay, so the dubbing feature of 11 Labs takes characters out of your monthly character quota. And before you do your dub, you will get a character usage estimate. 11 Labs does also give you some free quota inside the dubbing studio, which allows you to make changes without using your monthly quota. But whatever the estimated quota usage, if you choose to add the watermark, then the quota usage is reduced because you're allowing 11 Labs to advertise on your content. Now, if you look down here, this is where your estimate would normally be, but it says I don't have enough characters to create this dub because I don't have enough quota left this month. However, that brings us on to another part of the advanced settings. The reason it's saying this to me is because this video is nearly an hour long, and if it does the whole video, it will go way beyond my monthly quota. That's why we have this time range option here. So what I want to do is only take the first 10 minutes and let them be dubbed. So I have to set that here, and then once I do that, we will see an estimate because it will recalculate. So let's see, you have to put in a time code of hours, minutes and seconds. So we'll start with 0, 6 zeros, and then 10 minutes. So 0 hours, 10 minutes, 0 seconds. Okay, right, there you see, now we do have an estimate of approximately 50,000 characters. Okay, something also to note, if you click create a dubbing studio project, then the watermark reduction is 50%. However, if you don't choose the project, the watermark is reduced only by 33%, but the estimated dub character cost goes down drastically from 50,000 to 20,000 characters. So you get some free quota in the project. However, the cost of the dub is higher. And then we have here the video resolution. So this is for your output, and there are 2 options, medium or highest. I don't say what the resolutions are. Also, you'll notice there's no difference in the estimated character cost between highest or medium. So I don't believe it has any effect over the audio quality or the dubbing quality. Okay, so I've just tested this. If you provide it with a 1080p video, as I did on the YouTube link, when you select highest as resolution, then it will provide a 1080p video, the same resolution, full HD 1080p. And the audio will be 44.1 kilohertz sample rate in AAC format. Okay, I don't know the megabits per second. And when you choose, or when I chose medium with a 1080p video as input, then the output was very low resolution of 640 by 360. However, the sample rate on the audio was the same, 44.1, and in AAC file format. In any case, as mentioned before, I think what you're really interested in is the audio file. So the video resolution is of secondary importance. I think probably the best way to do it would be just to switch the audio on the original content so that you preserve the quality of the original content. Okay, something else that also pops up when you select that you want a dubbing project is this warning that you're recommended to specify the number of speakers explicitly for increased dubbing quality. So that brings us on to the number of speakers option. So you can either leave it on detect or tell it, as it's recommending, how many speakers are in the original video, up to 9, which I think is probably more than enough. However, on this video that we're going to dub, which is a tutorial about 11 Labs, there are sections in which some of the 11 Labs voices will be speaking, and I'm not sure how many there are, so I'm just going to leave it on detect and see how it does. Also, for this example, we're still not going to create a dubbing studio project. We're just going to do a direct dub because it's just a simple case of me speaking. There are no other speakers, and I want to see how long it will take to produce a 10-minute dub and how well it does it. So we're going to start the whole process again from scratch and see how long it takes from the first step of giving the project its name to having the dub ready to download. Okay, let's go. Right, so let's see how long this takes. I have the timer ready here. I have the YouTube URL ready to paste, and let's go. Detect language, target language, Portuguese, YouTube, paste. Right, really important to tell it we only want 10 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and number of speakers to take. Let's go, create. In progress, 30 seconds. Okay, that is done. 7 minutes, 40 seconds. So it's done the 10-minute dub in under 10 minutes. 7 minutes, 40 seconds. Not bad. Let's have a look. Okay, let's see how this sounds. Usando 11 laboratórios, eu consegui criar clone da minha voz tão realista que até a minha esposa não consegue perceber a diferença. Com a 11 Labs, você pode criar o clone perfeito da sua voz e usá-lo para criar uma fala humana autêntica, com fidelidade incomparável, indistinguível do real em 29 idiomas. Você também pode usar 29 idiomas. Very good, very good. Just to say, I watched the whole 10-minute video. The quality is really excellent. It's amazingly good. I'm really happy with it, and I think it's fine to use straight out of the box. Possa gerar uma fala realista para seus vídeos, podcasts, audiolivros, chatbots, etc. E depois, como você pode aproveitar os 29 idiomas da 11 Labs a partir do uso. Essas vozes não custam nada a mais para um assinante do 11 Lab, mas o autor da voz receberá tipo de royalties por isso. Então, aqui você encontrará uma seleção quase infinita de vozes. I can't speak Portuguese, but I can understand it quite a lot, and to my ears, the impression I get is that this is really ready to go straight out of the box, which is the exciting part about this. It's just incredibly empowering. Interesting, it's had no trouble at all in detecting the other voices and creating an instant clone of those voices to then generate the speech for those voices in Portuguese. Fantastic.
Imagine as possibilidades dessa voz clonada para vídeos, audiolivros ou mesmo me ouvir ler seu conteúdo online favorito em voz alta.
Excellent. Aí então tem esse controle deslizante, está 150%. E gerar?
Primeiro, achávamos que o PC era uma calculadora. Depois descobrimos como transformar números em letras.
Yep, very happy with that. Okay, you can tell it's dubbed, but I think if you're watching a YouTube video, you're not going to care about it. It's not a feature film. So it's done a great job in a very short space of time with a very simple process. However, there is one issue, and that is that, again, it's said 11 labs in Portuguese, which you don't really want. I mean, if I wanted to save my character usage, I could say it's not that important. But I think really, if you're talking about a brand, you don't want that brand to be translated. So that is a limitation of the standard dubbing process, and a reason to use the dubbing studio, because in the dubbing studio I can correct that, and I can edit the transcript so it doesn't say the Portuguese version of 11 labs, so that it actually says 11 labs. But we'll be looking at that shortly. And then if we look at the character usage down here, we have here a summary of the dub. So the source language, target language, the settings that are used. And then if we look at the character usage, well, we can see that it has actually used 20,000 exactly. Right, the next thing I want to show you is how to dub into multiple languages at once, which is very straightforward and simple, because this quick method that I'm going to show you now doesn't involve going through Dubbing Studio. When you go into Dubbing Studio and you start refining and perfecting, you could end up being there for quite a lot longer than you would just doing this simple process. However, if you have a need for the translation to be accurate and there to be no mistakes at all, then I would recommend always going through Dubbing Studio rather than doing this process, because this process doesn't give you any control. Because this process is fully automatic, done by 11 Labs, and although it's amazing, there may be situations where you need to correct stuff, and the longer your content is, the more chance that might happen. So if you have marketing material you're going to use for paid ads, or you have some e-learning, info product, paid courses, stuff like that, where everything needs to be accurate and you can't afford to have errors, then I would not recommend this process that I'm going to show you now. I would rather recommend going through Dubbing Studio always. So let's get this simple multi-language dub underway. We'll give it a name. Tell it to detect English, and actually it's not very obvious, but this drop-down menu is where we select multiple languages. So let's start with French. Now, if I want to select another language, I can just do so, and it will add that language to the first one, as we see up here, French, Chinese. So let's do another one, Ukrainian. All right, and we'll do those three. So that's how you select multiple languages, and it tells us over here on the right that it's doing 3 languages. And then now to add the YouTube video, and that's all we'll do because it's a short video. I'm not going to tell it to extract a time range. Let's go. Okay, so they're all done, and what's remarkable there is that they were done simultaneously. If you noticed, they were all being done at the same time and were all delivered more or less at the same time. While it's true that the video we're using is only 9 seconds long, when the video is longer, the same thing happens. They're all delivered more or less at the same time. So the power of this is incredible, because you can do this with 29 languages and they'd all be delivered at the same time. Okay, it wouldn't be as quick because you probably wouldn't be doing a 9-second video. Let's say you're doing a 10-minute video, as we saw earlier, it took less than 8 minutes. So in less than 8 minutes, you could have 29 versions of that same video ready to download and publish. That's incredible. That's why I'm such a big fan of this Dubbing Studio by 11 Labs, because it's a real game changer for somebody like me and for many other people that don't have a huge budget to pay an agency. I mean, if you think about how much it might cost to do 29 videos, even just 10-minute long videos, with quality translation, I don't actually know how much that would cost, but I would suspect you'd be going into the thousands. You certainly would be going into the thousands if you had, for example, a whole YouTube channel with 50 to 100 videos between 10 and 20 minutes long each. It's an awful lot of money, and this is something that for a small publisher, a small creator, allows them to go into that territory, into the possibility of being able to reach potentially so much larger an audience. I mean, as I said at the beginning of the video, there are 570 million Hindi speakers. Okay, granted, not all of them use YouTube. Probably not a huge percentage even, but even so, we're still talking millions of potential viewers. And Portuguese as well, it's another language with millions of speakers. So that's why I'm using 11 Labs myself to do this, to expand in this way, in a way that previously would have been completely out of my budget. So let's have a look at the results. Let's start off with the French. En utilisant 11 labs, ça a pu créer un clone de ma voix si réaliste que même ma femme ne peut pas faire la différence. Fabulous. Straight out of the box, it's just great. Now, Let's see Chinese. 是用诗意研究所，我能够创建一个如此逼真的我的声音克隆，以至于连我妻子都分辨不出来。All right, yeah, I seem to be speaking Chinese with an accent. Actually, I think that's a good thing, really. My voice doesn't sound very Chinese, and perhaps if I did ever learn Chinese, I would sound just like that, as long as the viewers can understand it. And obviously, I can't say with the Chinese, as I don't speak it, how good the dub is. But I presume it should be at a similar quality level to the other languages that I do understand. So I dare say it's good enough for the average Chinese person to understand at least 80% of what I'm saying, if not more so, if not 90 or above. And then finally, Ukrainian. So let's see. Єліш твоїх 11 лабораторій я зміг створити клон свого голосу настільки реалістичний, що навіть моя дружина не може відрізнити. I think that sounded very authentic. I think my voice perhaps suits some languages more than others, and that really did sound very convincing indeed, and I'm sure it's accurate. I would expect that the longer the video, the more chance for inaccuracies to sneak in. So again, we are looking here at the simple dub. It's cheaper in terms of characters, and it's certainly quicker because you don't have to go through a refining process, revise things, correct things. If you just want speed, 95% of the way there, then this is that's the power of this, and that's what makes 11 Labs so special. So extremely happy with that output, and very excited to be doing this with my various YouTube channels. Okay, so to recap, we've looked at doing a simple dub with a single speaker and a single language. We've looked at a simple dub of a single speaker into 3 languages. And we've also looked at a 10-minute dub just to see how long it would take and what the overall quality of it would be like. So now it is time to go into Dubbing Studio and see what tools and resources it provides us with to fix errors, to refine our dub, and to get everything perfect. Okay, let's have a look. To begin with, we're going to stick with a single speaker so you can see the Dubbing Studio interface and the tools it has with a simple case. And then after that, we'll do another example with multiple speakers, which increases the complexity and probably the need to use the tools. All right, so we're going to start off with the single speaker example using the same video of mine. First, we'll give it a name. Okay, English. I'm going to do Spanish again for the same reasons as before, so I can check the output and fix any errors. Provide the link. I do have to tell it that I only want the first 30 seconds. We're just going to do 30 seconds. 1,000 characters. I've got the watermark on. And let's create. Oops. Mustn't forget to say I want a Dubbing Studio project. Okay. Now we're ready to go. Create. Okay, so that's ready. It did take a while, but I believe that's because the video is nearly an hour long, and I suspect that the system needs to download the entire video before it can extract the time range that you've set, even though it's 30 seconds. Anyway, so we are now ready to go into Dubbing Studio, and to do that, we just click Edit, and the Dubbing Studio will load. So, first off, let's just run through the layout. So what we have, by default, when you first go into Dubbing Studio, you won't see your dub, you'll see your original language. So Dubbing Studio presents you with the transcript that it's made from your video, so you can check it. However, to see the Spanish, you just go down here to the bottom to see your dubbed language, that is. Click Spanish, and there you have it. Okay, so English on the left, Spanish on the right, and an extra channel on the timeline at the bottom. But let's backtrack a second and just run through the layout. So first off, we have here this column of transcribed audio, okay, organized into sections. These sections are called speaker cards, And if you select one of these, then the playhead on the timeline here will move to the beginning of that section or that speaker card. And these speaker cards correspond to the clips that are on the timeline. So the AI has analyzed the video and audio and has decided to split the speech into these distinct clips. So let's say if I select this last clip, then the last speaker card is highlighted and presented to me. This is very handy when you have a big project with lots and lots of clips and multiple speakers, and you need to move around and find specific parts of the dub. On a small project like this, you know, it's not so helpful, but you can imagine it being extremely helpful on a big project. So that's it. We have the transcription in this column of speaker cards at the top, and below that we have the timeline, currently with just the one channel because we have one speaker called speaker 1, designated as speaker 1. We can change the name if we want, but we'll look at that in the multi-speaker example. And then finally we have this video image here, which by default comes out pretty small, but you can make it any size you want. Okay, we'll leave it more or less like that, and we can see very well what's happening. So this is just the original. There's no translation or dub to check just yet. The first step would be just to check the English transcript. So let's see, using the labs, let's go voice. So is it okay, so it's picked everything up. There's just a slight error, which to be honest is understandable because of the way I pronounce it. But all it is it says with 11 labs you can create the perfect clone of your voice. But what I actually say is you can create a perfect clone of your voice. However, as I said, it is forgivable because I don't pronounce it so clearly. Let's have a listen. With 11 labs, you can create a perfect clone of your voice. See what I mean? So that's the only thing to correct. Okay, so I'm going to do that with the Spanish loaded, because then you'll see what happens when I make the correction. So let's go into Spanish. Now we're in Spanish. So what we've got are two columns in the speaker card section, with the original English transcription on the left and then the Spanish translation on the right. And if we go to the part that we need to correct, that's just here. So these speaker cards allow you to edit the transcript by typing. So I'm going to remove the A, I'm going to remove the, replace it with an A. And then so that the correction propagates into the translation, I'll come over here and click the translate arrow. And there you see that's regenerating, and it has made the correction that I wanted it to make. Now, what has also happened is, logically, as we have a new translation, the audio that we had before now needs to be regenerated. So if we come down to the timeline here, you'll see on the clip that we have just edited, it says stale, and there's a regenerate icon. So that is telling us that the audio that's currently there is before we made our change, and we need to regenerate to make that change. So anyways, let's just have a listen so we can check the quality of the dub. All right, play.
Usando 11 laboratorios, pude crear un clon de mi voz tan realista que incluso mi esposa no puede notar la diferencia. Con 11 Labs puedes crear el clon perfecto de tu voz y usarlo para crear un discurso humano auténtico, con una fidelidad sin igual, indistinguible de lo real en 29 idiomas. También puedes usar el diseñador de voz de 11 Labs para crear una voz única nueva.
It's fantastic. To be honest, there's not much to work on here because it is actually so good straight out of the box. The only thing that we would need to do is regenerate where we've made that small change. So I can do that by clicking this stale icon, this stale button here directly on the clip. I could also do it here. This is for the exact same thing, but let's do it here. Okay, so now that's regenerating. Right, okay, yes, here we go. This sometimes happens. So the clip length has changed. So it's saying that the clip had to be trimmed because it's now longer than the space that it has to fit into. So let's listen back to that then and see if it's a problem.
Que incluso mi esposa no puede notar la diferencia. Con 11 Labs puedes crear un clon perfecto de tu voz y usarlo para crear un discurso humano.
Okay, it just about fits. But in any case, this is a good opportunity to show the retiming function of the clips. So let's say this was trimmed a bit too much. All we need to do is shorten the duration of the clip so that it fits into the allotted space. So the way to do that is very simple. You come down here to the clip, you can grab it at either end, and then you just compress it. So if you notice, the waveform is preserved when we do this. So this is not trimming the clip. It's not cutting or losing any of the audio. It's shortening it, but maintaining all of the audio. So we'll just do it a tiny little bit like that. So the effect is not too noticeable on the voice, on the pitch of the voice. And then, of course, we now have to regenerate that. So we'll do that. Okay, that's now regenerated.
Con 11 Labs puedes crear un clon perfecto de tu voz y usarlo para crear un discurso humano auténtico.
I didn't notice any real change with the pitch. But let's just have a look at what would happen if we did drastically shorten it.
Que incluso mi esposa no puede notar la diferencia. Con 11 Labs puedes crear un clon perfecto de tu...
All right, so we've shortened it a lot. It's now speaking pretty fast. So that shows you how much you can play around with the clip duration and the clip speed. However, we don't really want it there, so let's put it back. If you undo, then it goes back to the previous state and you don't have to regenerate, which is a good thing. Now, just while we're on the subject of changing the clip length, we changed the clip length while preserving all of the audio. However, if you want to cut out some of the audio, you can also do that by trimming. To trim, what you need to do first of all is go over here and select the scissors icon, and then that will allow you, when you grab the end of the audio clip, to change the actual length of the clip so that some of the clip is cut out, as you can see there. Where if you observe the waveform, we are making it disappear. Anything that's now not visible will not play back. Okay, and I'll just demonstrate that.
Que incluso mi esposa no puede notar la diferencia. Con 11 Labs.
Okay, not what we want, but just to show you how it works. I'll undo that again. Right, now also let's look at a few more of the functions that are available here on the timeline. So first of all, we do have a zoom. Okay, so we've got the whole timeline in there, or we can zoom right in to look at some detail in the waveform, whatever you need to do. Okay, and then just the last thing I wanted to show you is the fact that we have the option to merge or split clips. So I might want to do that because I might want to tidy up the transcript, because the AI has decided where the clip begins and ends, but it doesn't always coincide with the sentence. So we might want it to do that. We might want one sentence per clip, in which case the merging and the splitting allows us to do that manually. So let's say, for example, the first speaker card should really contain the text that goes up to "even my wife can't tell the difference." So what we would do is go to the timeline, find where the end of the speaker card should really be, that "even my wife can't tell the difference." The "oh" doesn't really matter. Okay, so we can position the playhead there. And then if we come down here to this icon that appears, it says split, so we just split it. And then, so we have now two clips here, and we have, for the time being, we have an extra speaker card. But now what we want to do is combine these first two speaker cards. So then we do the merge function. And again, if we come down here to where the playhead is, we will see a merge option appear. And we click that, and that will merge those two clips into one and those two speaker cards into one. Okay, and you can carry on analyzing the whole transcription if you want to get that perfect and all tidied up. Again, on such a short clip with one speaker, it's probably not necessary, but it could be a very useful tool when you have a longer video, and especially when you have multiple speakers. So now we're going to look at the multiple speaker example, and we'll see all that in action. Right, so now let's do a multi-speaker dubbing project to open in Dubbing Studio. I'm hoping to get a few errors that we can fix so that you can see the tools in action. Okay, let's go. And in this example, I'll also show you how to add more languages. However, that's done within the Dubbing Studio after you've done your refining process, because that way you don't have to repeat your refining process for each language. If you do your refining process first, then when you add the additional language, it should be ready to go, or at least 99% of the way there. In fact, if we choose more than one language now, and we say we want a dubbing project, then 11 Labs itself will warn us that when you're creating a Dubbing Studio project, it's recommended to just choose the one language at the beginning and add more within the studio to ensure that your edits are synced across all languages. So what they're trying to do here is to save you a lot of time, because you doesn't make any sense to repeat all of your refining process 3 times or multiple times for each language. So take note of that and just select the one language. So as always, because I speak Spanish, I'm going to dub into Spanish. Okay. Video. Right. Now for number of speakers, I believe there are 9. So that's the maximum. But it's not a conversation between 9 people. It's one after the other. So let's see how it does. And I've got the time range. Right. It's 41 seconds to 1 minute 26. All right. Ready to rumble. Let's go. Right. That is done. So let's open it up. I'm pretty keen to see what the results are. Right, the first thing I'll do is I'll play the clip back for you so you can see what we're dealing with. We've also got the transcript here on the left to see if it's accurate or not. I can already see one mistake. So anyway, let's play the clip back.
All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears. Right.
Morning, Vietnam! I love the spittle blit come in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need. Grenade, mistake.
Roads? When we don't need roads. Snakes. Why did it have to be the snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be.
All right. Okay. So, yeah, quite a lot. If you noticed on the transcript, there's quite a lot that is not accurate. So that's good in a way, because then I can show you how to fix it. And that's what, after all, is what Dubbing Studio is for. So it's a good job we have Dubbing Studio for this. So just before we start, I want to check we've got 9 speakers here. Yeah, we have 9 tracks, 9 speakers. Clips look also like we're going to have to rearrange, because speaker 1 appears 3 times in different locations, at the middle and at the end, so that can't be right. But anyway, we'll get through all that quite quickly, actually. So obviously we have over here a Spanish translation in the dub section. I know that there's going to be a lot of errors here. So what I need to do first is correct everything in the original, so that then the translation is based on something accurate. I mean, we can play it back.
Se perderán en el tiempo como la más
Buenos dias, Vietnam.
Yeah, so it's not right. We need to fix it, but we start off in the original. So we'll go back to the original, and we need to tidy up. We need to tidy up. Obviously, it's easier to tidy because we don't have the dubbed language appearing. Right, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go from left to right, from beginning to end. I'm going to assign the right clips to the right tracks. I'm going to start off with speaker 1. He's going to be the first speaker. Speaker 2 will be the second, etc. So this first part is a two-step process, which is firstly fixing the timeline, and then secondly fixing the transcription errors. Okay. The main thing we're going to be doing is using the trim function and just moving the clips around on the timeline, as well as labeling the speakers. And we're also going to be using the split and merge functions on the timeline. So between the trim, split and merge tools, we'll tidy the whole timeline up. So just to say, while we're in the original panel, the clips are set to be trimmable by default. What I mean by that is if I grab the end of any clip, then if I drag it, then I trim that clip. You know, I can extend it, i.e. add sound, or I can reduce it, i.e. remove sound. So that's by default. But if we go to the dub language panel, it's not trim. By default, it's sync or retiming, sorry. So if I click and drag any clip on the timeline, when I'm in the dub panel, then it will retime the clip, as you can see here, maintaining all of the audio within that clip. Unless I click the scissors icon, in which case we're in the trim mode. This is handy in the original mode because we're going to be using the trim function a lot to fix this. Okay, so let's try to get through it quickly. Believe it or not, I can be pretty quick. So let's go. First off, the first audio clips are here on the left. So we have Roy Batty from Blade Runner, and we need to assign his clips to speaker 1. So first of all, I'm going to label his track, Roy Batty the Replicant. Now, if you look here, what you'll see is, if we just isolate these two tracks, you'll hear that it's the same audio, even though we have two tracks, two clips.
All those.
Because the way that 11 Labs does this is that, in fact, all of the tracks have the same audio on. And these clips really are just a kind of window that reveal that part of the audio. But the audio is the same on all the tracks. If we take this clip here and we trim it out, you can observe that the waveform is the same as the clip below it. And if we play it back,
all those moments will be lost.
It's this exact same speech and audio. So that means that we can use the trim function freely and easily to achieve the results that we want. So the first thing I know is that I can actually delete this. And let's just check where it ends.
Like tears.
Okay, so this extends up here, but we can just extend here, and then we have the audio that we need. I'll isolate this track.
In rain.
Okay, yeah, that's right, that ends there. Now we'll merge these two, so it's just the one clip, and we'll put it up to the speaker 1 track, which is where it belongs. There we have it, and this is now surplus, this clip, so that's gone. That should be fine.
All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain.
Now we'll move on. So now it's Robin Williams. Oh, hang on. Right. Make sure it's audible. So I'll just isolate this to be sure where it starts. No, I think, yeah, it's just a little bit late. So it comes in a bit early is what I mean. Right, and then in that case we'll extend this out slightly. I think we're missing a bit of background music there. Okay, let's just listen to that.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Alright.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Alright, okay, so this is Robin up here. Let's give him his name. Next up.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning. I think that's, well, it's on 2 tracks. Let's see.
I love the smell of napalm.
Okay, that's not quite...
I love the smell of napalm.
Right. Okay, well, let's just zoom in and get the beginning of that clip properly.
I love the smell of napalm.
Okay, it seems to start here.
I love the smell of napalm.
There you go, right. So this is surplus. Oh, hang on. Well, it's surplus from here. Alright. May still be surplus, but we'll just trim it. Anyway, so let's just listen back again.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel...
Alright. Are you going to need a bigger boat? It has appeared in 3 tracks. Let's just... Right, first of all, let's put Robert Duvall on his own track, the kernel. And then we can just drag this one down for Roy Scheider. Let's just isolate him.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the...
Yep, that seems about right.
I feel the...
Okay, so it's catching a bit of Tom Cruise.
I feel the...
Let's just get rid of that.
Your boat.
Alright, bit more. Is that enough?
Boat.
Yep. Right, so that's Roy. Next up, Tom. So we'll trim that over in anticipation. Let's see.
I feel the need.
Isolate that track.
I feel the need. The need for speed.
Yeah, that's fine as is. Tom. 8. Cruise. Right. Okay, so let's isolate this track. Looks like we've got surplus here.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need.
Okay.
Need for speed.
Right, don't need any of this. Let's split that there and get rid of these 3. Alright. Now next up, well, we could either, let's just drop this down and pull it out so it so it follows on. We need to activate audio on all the tracks.
Roads. We don't need roads.
Alright, let's pull him out. That'll be the dock. Let's just isolate him.
Roads. Roads. Roads.
Yeah.
We don't need roads.
Perhaps a little chisme, just a tiny bit longer.
We don't need roads.
Yeah, say so. Right, so that's fine, and it's the dock. Next. Okay. Indiana Jones. All right, what we can do is trim this clip so it starts more or less in following on from the dock. Pull it out more or less to there.
and pull it down. Okay, so that should let's isolate it.
Snakes.
Okay, needs to be longer. Could it merge with this clip?
Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges?
Yep, we'll just have to shorten this one.
Be snakes.
Badges?
Nope, bit more.
It had to be snakes.
Badges?
Oh, still saying barges. Right, let's see. It must be this bit of waveform here.
Why did it have to be snakes?
Sorry, badges. I think it's badges. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of waveform there still showing.
It had to be snakes.
Yeah, that'll do. Right, so Indiana. And next we have Mexican Bandido. Let's pull him down from here and line him up there. That should sound okay.
Snakes.
Badges?
Yep.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Very aggressive.
Any stinking badges?
You make.
Hang on, let's isolate the track again.
Stinking badges?
You make.
Okay, we have a little bit of Jack Nicholson coming in there, so it would seem. Let's remove that.
Show you any stinking badges?
Still a bit more.
Stinking badges?
Nearly.
Are you any stinking badges?
Okay. A man's got to hang up about badges. And now, finally, well, I didn't expect Jack Nicholson to squeeze into this clip, but he has. We can't leave him out. And he does not say he wants to go to the toilet. He says, "You make me want to be a better man."
You make me want to be.
Right. Oh, we just need to label these speakers. Let's activate all tracks. Okay. Oh, yeah. I don't know if he's Mexican, but Bandido. Bandido, if he doesn't have any... if he doesn't have any stinking badges, well, it's probably a Bandido. Right, so there you have it. We now have the whole English panel timeline now tidied up. Oh, sorry, we just need to get rid of these surplus. And if I play it back, it's just going to sound the same as before. What we do need to do, though, is get these speaker cards right. So, first of all, okay, these moments we lost in time, it's not bad. We have to say all those were we lost in time, like tears. Oh, where's the rest of it? Like tears in rain. Let's see.
In rain.
Okay, it's completely missed in rain. All right. Now, in fact, I'll make the corrections to the transcript in the Spanish panel because then you can see the changes being propagated. Okay, good morning Vietnam is fine. I love the smell of night plum in the morning. If only napalm. Right. Update. Okay. You're gonna need a peeping pooch. Right. Does anyone know what a peeping pooch is? Okay, you're gonna need a bigger boat. Alright. I feel the need for hate, please. It's worth doing this just for the laugh.
All right, I feel the need for speed. I don't think they say anything else. Let's check that. Ah, the audio is stale, of course. All right, let me just check it here.
I feel the need for speed.
Ah, sorry, so they say need twice. All right. I feel the need for speed. Right. And OJ, what? By Jinx. Okay. That's surprising. We have virtually no text. Ah. Okay, yeah. I believe this has happened because if you remember when we were organizing the clips, I deleted quite a few which had been duplicated or even triplicated across the tracks. It's always the case that each of those clips will have a different speaker card. So the text that we're missing here was probably on one of those other speaker cards. I mean, in this case, I knew exactly what they were saying, so doesn't matter, I can just rewrite it. But perhaps you may have a project where you want to check the text on the speaker cards before deleting the clips. All right, so roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads. I think that's what it says.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Right. Okie dokie, and then again, the same thing's happened here. Well, maybe not J by Jinx. Yeah. I probably deleted the correct, the more accurate text. Okay then, so let's get that in here. Snakes. Why did it have to eat snakes? Just checking that is what he says.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges?
Yep.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to.
All right, I'll just correct that in here. Badges. We don't need no badges. Just. Ah, what's this doing here?
You make me want to be.
Badges. We don't need no badges. I'm still talking about badges. Ah, what's this doing here?
You make me want to be.
Ah, okay, here you see, I think if I remember right, I moved the track we're using now for Jack, I moved it from one track to another, and it seems to have retained the text that I had transcribed. Okay, something to look out for. I think if you have a very long project, you might not want to have to rewrite the text, so you would want to check before deleting the clips. However, you may still have to fix the timelines, so you'd have to sort of weigh up whether it's worth deleting a clip or moving it. Okay, so anyway, make me want to be. Alright, so I think now we have, by Jinx. Oh, this is still split. Okay, I forgot to merge this one, so let's merge. And okay, now we're okay. So, yep. Roads. Let's do it from the back. Right. You maybe want to be.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be.
Yep. Snakes. Roads. Need for speed. Bigger boat. Napalm. Good morning, Vietnam. All those moments will be lost in time like tears in the rain. Okay. Right, there we have it. It's fixed. Okay, I went a bit slower than I would have done if I was just doing it myself and not making a tutorial video. I would probably done it in half the time that I've taken to do it in this video. Alright, now we can switch over to Spanish. Now we have our English transcript correct. I'm just going to revise the Spanish translation to look out for anything that I think could be better or any errors. So far, so good. Un bote más grande. I think it's not right. I think there should be a barco, a boat. Right. So just change that. That's fine. Okay, I'll now regenerate that. Okay, they've translated roads as caminos, which for me is more like a path. So I'll change that to carreteras, because he's talking about the type of road that a car goes on, and that's carretera would be more correct. Snakes, yeah, that's fine. Insignias, yeah, fine. And we don't have anything for Jack. Well, let me just translate. Let me just click the translate button. Yeah, that's fine. I'll just regenerate that. Okay. Now we can play back, listen to the whole thing.
Todos estos momentos se perderán en el tiempo como lágrimas en la lluvia.
Buenos días, Vietnam.
Me encanta el olor del napalm por la mañana.
Vas a necesitar un barco más grande.
Siento la necesidad de velocidad.
Caminos, ¿a dónde vamos? No necesitamos caminos.
Serpientes, porque tenían que ser serpientes.
¿Insignias? No necesitamos ninguna insignia. No tengo que mostrarte ninguna insignia pestosa.
Me haces querer ser.
Right, okay, it's almost there. But we're going to do a few more things before we finish up, because there are still a few important functions to show you. So the first of those is retiming. So I noticed on Roy Batty's or Rutger Hauer's clip that the voice is talking extremely slowly. So I'll want to retime that. And the same thing for Robin Williams. I think his voice comes in a bit late. So we can change the retime and get things more in sync. I'll show you how to do that. And then after that, I'll also show you how to change a voice, because we can change any of these voices to more or less any voice we like, because one of the most useful functions in the dubbing studio is the ability to change the voice. So I'll show you that function too. And then once we have our dub complete, we'll add another language, and you can see that process. And then you would have seen pretty much everything. Right, going back to Roy Batty, I think the voice is too slow, but so I think this is a good candidate for changing the voice. And then with Robin Williams, we can retime it or sync it up. So let's start with the syncing. Let's just listen back to Robin.
Buenos días, Vietnam.
Me encanta el olor.
Yeah, starts and ends a bit too late. So this is literally a case of shifting the clip up. That's why I want to show you this first, because it's pretty quick and easy.
Buenos días, Vietnam.
Me encanta.
Perhaps a bit more. Yeah, when I'm recording, I have a bit of latency, so that may be right as it is. So let me just move it again, and we'll see later.
Buenos días, Vietnam.
Me encanta el olor.
Buenos días, Vietnam. Buenos días, Vietnam.
Buenos dias, Vietnam!
Yeah, that's better. All right, okay, that'll do. Right, now with Roy, I'm happy about the quality of his voice, i.e. the similarity to the original voice. But I'm not happy about the speed or the energy of it. Now, I could try to correct this by retiming the clip. But first off, I'm going to try a different thing. I'm going to try making a new voice from the original voice and using that one instead and just seeing if we'll get a different result. So to do that, let's just click the original clip, right click and select create voice from selection, and I'll say Roy 2. Okay, now we'll come back down to our Spanish audio and then go to the cog, go to voice, and where it says clip clone, we select and we change it to Roy 2. We'll leave all these settings as they are, close, and now regenerate the audio. So let's just listen back to how it was. Alright, regenerate.
Todos esos momentos se perderán en el tiempo como lágrimas en la lluvia.
Buenos dias!
Okay, so it's generated a very similar voice. First off, if we remove inherit track settings and then click on configure voice, see what happens if I drop the style and the stability. Alright, so that should prompt us to regenerate. Let's just listen to him again.
Momentos.
Alright, now style, regenerate. Okay.
Esos momentos se perderán en el tiempo como lágrimas.
Okay. Right, well, you can see how we can change the style of the voice, but the speed seems to be something which the AI is not being very flexible on. So that's something we will have to fix with the retiming. In any case, I think I preferred the voice as it was. So I'm just going to put the style back up, perhaps not as much as before, and the stability also. Okay. Now, what we need to do is retime this clip. It's going too slow. Does it fit? Let's see.
En la lluvia.
Just fits, but does it? Is it synced to his mouth? Let's see. I don't think so. It wasn't before.
Todos esos momentos se perderán en el tiempo como lágrimas.
Right. Especially goes out of sync from this point. I'm going to shorten the whole clip. Hopefully we should see some improvement in the first part of the clip.
Todos esos momentos se perderán en el tiempo como lágrimas en la...
Wait a minute.
Moments will be lost in time.
Okay.
Like...
Okay. This is where it says time, alright? Let's see.
Se perderán en el tiempo.
Yeah, so this first section up to here is running very much behind the English. Because if you see here, actually, there's quite a long gap where he doesn't say anything. If we put it back on the English original.
Like.
Yeah. So, ideally, we would... All depends how much you want to perfect this. Let's try and get it perfect, as good as possible. However, you could decide to leave it as it is because, you know, if you're not interested in concealing the fact that it's dubbed, the message will be transmitted because in the same length of time, we have a translation spoken in voice very similar to Roy's. And you could decide that's okay, you know, because your audience might know they're watching a dubbed video, in which case it's not an issue. But for the purposes of this tutorial and learning how to use the product, let's try to get this perfect. So what I would do is I would split first of all here and do the retiming separately. So the first section first and then the second section. Now we're going to have to regenerate the audio. Ah, yes. Okay. Two things to be aware of when you split a dubbed clip. First of all, the transcription gets redone. So you have to check that before you regenerate your audio, because the other thing that happens is that the audio goes stale and you need to regenerate. So let's just check the transcription, which has been modified and is not correct anymore. So all these moments will be lost in time. Like time itself, no. Like tears in rain. Okay. Just put a comma in there. Okay, and obviously when you correct the transcript, then that will cause a regeneration of the translation. Okay, so now that the transcription and the translation are correct, we can regenerate the audio. Let's do this one first. Okay, so it's quite a lot shortened. Let's see how it sounds.
Todos esos momentos se perderán en el tiempo.
Okay, I had both languages playing back there. That is something you can do to check the timing as well. But let's just listen to the Spanish and look at the video.
Todos esos momentos se perderán en el tiempo.
Yeah, I like that better. There are moments where the mouth and the speech are not entirely synced, but overall it's more synced. So I'll leave that as is and then regenerate this one here.
Como lágrimas en la lluvia. Como lágrimas. Como lágrimas.
Okay, it starts too soon, doesn't it? I think the speed of it is okay, but it's starting too soon. Let's push it back a bit.
Como lágrimas en la lluvia.
Okay. I would like to shorten it as well, so it goes a little faster, but not too much, because then the beginning may go out of sync. Let's try that.
Como lágrimas.
I see. Okay, I just realized I should have split this a little earlier. So then the like would have been included in this track. Can we do anything about that? I don't want to undo everything. What I could maybe do. Well, what I could do, again, this is just to perfect so you can learn the tool. You might decide it's okay as it is. Let's see if I can split this. where he says like in Spanish.
Como la.
See here, there's a big gap between saying like.
Like tears.
And obviously, you know, if you want to maintain that, I mean, that's part of the drama. So we could split this here and then put the like part where he says it, because then it will line up with his facial expressions. We have to regenerate again. Okay, could we have it this time?
Lágrimas en la lluvia.
Yeah, not quite sure what that sound is supposed to be. Right, I'm just going to go down here and I wonder if I say inherit clip settings, it would be better. Inherit track settings, sorry. It does not seem capable of saying comma. Right. Don't inherit track settings. Configure voice. Drop the style. Stability. Similarity. I mean, it's not similar to the rest. It should be. Try that.
Como.
Okay, there you go. Sorry that got complicated, but hey, this is all part of the learning process. So you saw there how I was able to use the voice configuration settings to achieve the desired result and to not have to accept a generated speech that was not adequate. Okay, so lastly, we're just going to look at completely changing a voice and adding another language, and then we'll be done. All right, let's play around with changing the voices so you can see you can change it to whatever you want. Let's try changing Robin Williams. So if we go to the track, select the clip, and then click the cog, then we can open up the list of voices. So the voices that appear here are the clones that have been made from the clips from the video you've provided in the dub specific section here at the top, and then voices from the voice library that you've previously selected for your voice lab. So in another video where I do my full walkthrough of 11 labs, you can see how the voice lab works, but in a nutshell, those are voices that you've selected from the 11 labs voice library, which is something else that you can learn about in my full tutorial. And then those that you've selected that are in your voice lab can be used in the dubbing studio, as we're doing now. And if you're doing other things within 11 labs, like text to speech, speech to speech, the projects function for audiobooks, etc. So these are the voices I have selected in my voice lab, so I can use any of these. And finally, the other type of voices that are always available to you when you're using 11 labs are the pre-made voices. They just come with 11 labs. So there are a lot of voices here. What we don't get to do here is have a preview of them, but if you want to preview them, you could do so by going to your voice lab and having a listen. But just make a choice and see how it turns out. So, I don't know, Howard, American radio voice, as he is playing the part of a radio host. Let's try Howard. Just for fun, we'll see how it turns out. So that's stale, needs to be regenerated. Let's just listen back again to how it was.
Buenos dias, Vietnam!
Okay. All right.
Buenos dias, Vietnam.
Okay, yeah, it's a little bit dry. Timing is a bit off. But
Buenos dias, Vietnam.
What I'm going to do is just play around with the voice configuration. Style, stability. Let's make it less stable. Style. Try even more. Let's go. Regenerate.
Buenos dias, Vietnam.
Okay, it's a bit better. It's not shouting like the original voice was. The original voice captured the shouting better. Let's try the dog. So let's listen to the voice he has currently.
Carreteras, ¿a dónde vamos? No necesitamos carreteras.
All right. So we'll select the clip, go to the cog, and click here where it says voice. Let's try Adam first on the list. Regenerate.
Carreteras. ¿A dónde vamos? No necesitamos carreteras.
Ser bien.
Yeah, it could work. I don't think it's really dark, is it? But anyway, you can see you can change the voice as you wish. It would be nice to be able to preview the voices at this stage, as you can in other parts of 11 Labs, because that would help you to make the right choice and not to just have to try your luck. So,
Carreteras. ¿A dónde vamos? No necesitamos carreteras.
Ser bien.
Yeah, to be honest, it grows on you.
Carreteras. ¿A dónde vamos? No necesitamos carreteras.
Yeah, I quite like it, just for fun, you know, it's not really doc, but it could work. So lastly, let's do Badges Man. And just for fun, let's try a woman's voice. Let's see, let's make one of the pre-made voices. Try Charlotte. Okay. Regenerate. Let's go.
Insignias. No necesitamos ninguna insignia. No tengo que mostrarte ninguna insignia apestosa.
Me haces querer.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of works actually. Doesn't sound too angry, but...
Insignias. No necesitamos ninguna insignia. No tengo que mostrarte ninguna insignia apestosa.
Me haces.
Okay, yeah, so... Let's see if we can configure it so she sounds... Try to sound more angry. Let's see how that goes. Regenerate.
¿Insignias? No necesitamos ninguna insignia. No tengo que mostrarte ninguna insignia papeso y una pequeña apestosa.
Me haces querer.
Yeah, alright, could work. Just seems to be the case that the initial dub is better at capturing the emotion. And to be honest, although you can change the voice, from my experience of using the dubbing studio, there's generally not really any need to change the voice itself. Perhaps change to configure the voice or to retime the voice, but normally the voice itself is very good at picking up the emotion and is obviously just like the original speaker's voice. So really that's probably what you're going to stick with. But it's just good to know that you can change the voice if you wish. You can change the voice completely. You can even change the gender. You can do whatever you like. So there's a lot of flexibility there, which you could get creative with and have a lot of fun with. When I make dubs of my YouTube videos, what I do is I normally replace the voice with my professional clone, because that always gives better results, because it's a higher quality clone, because it's built from over 30 minutes of audio samples. So it's much more authentic and almost perfect. It's perfect, really. As I say, my wife can't tell the difference. So now we'll move on to adding another language. Now we have the dub. Okay, so let me show you the process of adding a language. Now we have our dub all done. We can just click here and select the language that we want. So I'm going to select Portuguese and click Add Language. Alright, so we already have the Portuguese loaded. If we look at the top, we now have Portuguese on the right, and then on the timeline, all of the clips, they don't have the audio, they need to be regenerated. So, and down here we have an additional tab. So we go back to Spanish, original, Portuguese. Okay, so first off, we don't have any change to the transcript. That shouldn't change. Okay, that is the same as before. And now we have the translation on the right. And now in the case of Portuguese, I can't correct it. But let's just regenerate the audio and see how that comes out. So use the generate stale audio button to generate all of it. Yeah, recompute. Okay. Let's listen.
Also, todos esses momentos se perderão com o tempo.
Lágrimas da chuva.
Bom dia, Vietnã!
Adoro o cheiro de napalm pela manhã.
Vai precisar de um barco maior.
Sinto a necessidade de velocidade.
Estradas. Para onde vamos? Não precisamos delas.
Cobras. Porque tinham que ser cobras.
Distintivos. Não precisamos de distintivos. Não tenho que te mostrar nenhum distintivo fedorento.
Você me faz querer ser.
Looks really good. So the benefit of having already done our refinement process is that all of the clips are in the right place. Each speaker is on a separate track. We don't have to go through the process of rearranging all the clips again. And well, the only thing is we have gone out of sync again with Roy Batty. So that would be the only thing. If you wanted to get that better, you could spend some extra time doing that, or you could say it's good enough as it is. Yeah, it's odd. I'm not sure why. If we go to what we did here, this work hasn't been respected. It's all been filled in. But again, this all depends on how perfect you need it to be.
Todos esses momentos se perderão com o tempo.
Lágrimas da chuva.
Yeah, it's not 100%, it's not synced. So again, all depends on the nature of your content, your audience, whether people are paying for this content, whether it's a context in which the audience is well aware that the content is dubbed and it's not an issue. So, okay, just one thing I forgot to mention is the background music and sound effects. So if you look at the top of the timeline, we have the background track. So the AI has separated the background music, sound effects and ambience. So we can just listen back to that just to see how it's done. There you go, it's done a perfect job, I think. And the volume of the background is adjustable, so you can do that by selecting the clip, and then on the right the volume slider will appear, so you can adjust that as you need. So as a final step, let's export our finished dub. I'll choose the Spanish. So click the export button down here. Export in Spanish. Obviously you get the choice to export in Portuguese as well, as we've done Portuguese.
or even original. So MP4 video, just audio, captions, timeline data, and a zip file of the audio tracks. I think these options are pretty useful. I think depending on the case, sometimes you're going to want a video with the audio, and in other cases you're just going to be interested in the audio file so that you can swap it on your original content. I'll choose video for the purposes of the tutorial and export. Okay, it's ready. Seems to be pretty quick. It is a short video, but did not take long at all. So I would expect that a longer video would also be relatively quick. So that's now downloaded. Okay, yeah, it's full HD, just like the source input. And it's not a very big file. So let's just check the quality.
Todos esos momentos se perderán en el tiempo. Como lágrimas en la lluvia.
Buenos días, Vietnam.
Me encanta el olor del napalm por la mañana.
Vas a necesitar un barco más grande.
Siento la necesidad de velocidad.
¿Carreteras? ¿A dónde vamos? No necesitamos carreteras. Serpientes. ¿Por qué tenían que ser serpientes?
¿Insignias? No necesitamos ninguna insignia. No tengo que mostrarte ninguna insignia pestosa.
Me haces querer ser.
Great, yeah. I'd say that the exported video hasn't really lost any quality. Yeah, nothing that I can really observe with the naked eye. Yeah, can't detect any quality loss. So the video output seems to be pretty decent. And then obviously the audio will be good if it's AAC. Expect it will have a good sample rate. Doesn't specify, but let's put that to the test. Let's just export the AAC audio to see what quality it comes out in. Right, and then download. Yes, so the downloaded file is 44.1 kilohertz. Sample rate. I don't know the bit rate, I'm afraid. I did just have a quick look to see if you could find that out online, if there are any free tools, but I didn't find any. If anyone can recommend any, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, so I think now you should have a pretty thorough understanding of the dubbing studio and how it works, and have the tools and resources to be able to fix issues that arise. I think I've covered pretty much everything, at least the most important things. I enjoy using this tool, and I think it allows you to get the results you need quite quickly. It's a very powerful tool. Obviously, in an ideal world, you'd want the AI to get it 100% right and not make any errors ever, so then you wouldn't need Dubbing Studio. However, I think with the current state of AI, as it is in general, I think it's going to be a while before we get to that point. We may get there. But for now, Dubbing Studio is a real lifesaver. And again, if you compare it to having to contract an agency, well, it just gives you a tool which allows you to completely control the result and get a top quality professional dub and translated content published and out there to your audience without having the cost of contracting the agency. Now, obviously, if you want to do a lot of dubbing, then you have to take into account the quota. So the quota that you get on the lower end plans will probably not be enough. You'd have to go to Pro or Scale, because Pro will give you about 10 hours of audio per month and Scale about 40. All depends on what project you have envisioned. But obviously, although these plans are more expensive, the more you use this quota at this rate, the more you'll be saving. Because if you do have a large scale project to dub into other languages,
I've never contracted an agency, so I don't know how much it costs, but I suspect that even these higher plans will represent savings, but that would be for you to weigh up, obviously. But in any case, I think by following along with this tutorial, you will have seen the power of 11 Labs to create content in other languages and the quality of that content, which sounds completely authentic. And I really don't think anyone would know that the voices are artificial intelligence. Now, where you may find that you still would prefer to contract your dubbing would be in the cases where you don't control the language. I mean, there are a lot of possible use cases for this. You've got someone like myself, I'm just doing my own content. For me, the cost to get my stuff out in, let's say, Hindi, for me, it's worth paying that, even if the Hindi might not be 100% accurate, because it's just organic search traffic on YouTube. I'm not asking anyone to pay for the content. I'm not selling it. It's not advertising. So it's completely worth it for me to do that. And I'm going through all languages. That's my current plan. But let's say you have content for e-learning and people are paying for it, or it's for your staff in a big company, a corporation. Accuracy is vital. So you may find that you still need to contract people to make sure that the language is correct, but perhaps you could find a new structure to achieve that, which you haven't been using up to now. Anyway, my job is done. I think I've shown how this works. Hopefully you understand it a lot better now. And if you have any questions or doubts, then please leave them in the comments below and I will answer them all. Okay. So in this deep dive tutorial, we've looked at the 11 Labs automatic dubbing process and the 11 Labs dubbing studio. We've looked at various use cases: single speaker, single language, multi-speaker, multi-language, and everything in between. So hopefully now you'll have the knowledge you need to hit the ground running and start churning out multi-language content to blow up your audience. I wish you all the best of luck. And if you have any further questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will answer them. And remember, you have a link in the description below to sign up for free to 11 Labs. And thank you for watching.